Hi, I'm Melissa from SoGoSurvey, and if you provide customer service, how good is it? And how do you know? Launching a customer service feedback survey is one of the best ways that you can find out the answer to that question and, of course, make improvements. Let's take a look at a quick start guide on how to launch this customer service feedback survey in almost no time. Let's get started. Maybe it sounds a little bit dramatic, but in a world where so much competition, so much choice is available, customer experience is a huge differentiator, and customer service is a very significant portion of that. So how great is your customer experience? In this session, we'll cover the rationale behind conducting a customer service feedback survey, take a look at a few possible questions and best practices, and then, of course, results and some advanced options. So, really important to know that even if your products and services are totally amazing, perfect in every way, your customers may and probably will need some help at some point for any number of reasons. It could be just their own user error, of course, miscommunication, missed expectations, timelines, or unfortunately a product malfunction as well. The effort that you put into solving that customer's problem can have a huge impact on their loyalty. Studies have shown this is true even to the extent that improving a customer situation, a bad situation, can be even better for your relationship, even better for that long-term loyalty than if they had an error-free or issue-free experience in the first place. Unhappy customers are very likely to just disappear, and so reaching out to your customers consistently over a period of time keeps those channels open, makes it more likely that you'll find out what some of those issues are before they have a huge impact on your metrics. So a few questions that you might include in this kind of a survey. Great idea to include, of course, some details about your customers. Thinking about the kinds of information that you are going to need for reports. Think about those customer details like perhaps contact information if you're going to have to follow up with them, as well as any account information that you might need to know. Service date can be useful, for example, contact method if there are multiple options, and then start to think about what kinds of questions are your customers asking about. Is this related to a product that you have, a service? However many options you have there, you're going to start branching based on one of those differentiators. Remember that all of these items can be hidden as well through pre-population, which will jump your customers directly to the relevant questions. And in this case, huge. It's really important to know, why did your customer even reach out to you in the first place? Again, it could be they felt there was a malfunction, or very few people like to say, I made a mistake, but often the product or the service didn't meet their expectations, or they had some questions or wanted to know a little bit more. So a lot of those options can be a really good way, but possibly you might also ask about their mindset too. What applied when contacting us, for example? That's a really good place to get a little bit more detail so you can find out perhaps what your customer service representatives are dealing with too. And then, of course, finding out a little bit about the issue can be helpful. Sometimes people say the issue is a simple problem. It's not a black or white sort of direct question. It's a very experience-based or perception-based kind of question, but it's nice to know sometimes where your customers are coming from. So definitely find out why they're reaching out to you, but you can find out a little bit more about their experience and their perceptions to start with. Absolutely, though, ask about the experience. How did this representative handle it? Nice little grid question there, rating radio grid, so we know that we're going to get a scale of answers here. Very, very useful. And of course, ask if the issue was resolved. If you find out that it wasn't resolved, that's an opportunity for improvement. If you find that it was resolved, think about their future confidence. Is that impacted by this experience? And finally here, some big picture things. Were you comfortable? Do you feel confident? Some of those nice to have, I would say those feelings questions. But you really want to think about those key metric questions that you're going to ask consistently, like customer satisfaction, in this case, satisfaction with the specific experience, and NPS, or Net Promoter Score, which measures how likely they are to recommend you in the future to friends or colleagues. Definitely those metric questions, maybe some follow-up questions from them as well too. But remember, those metric questions are going to be the ones that are consistent for you across multiple CX touchpoints. And of course, a thank you message. Best practices to think about, especially for customer service. If someone has a lot of interactions with you, or even if they don't, it's really helpful to know the most recent interaction to capture that data while it's fresh so quickly. one of the things that you also need to remember is clear and relevant to your situation. When you think about different customer situations and different customer experiences, what kinds of questions are most relevant? Maybe some of these in the template aren't relevant to the channel or to the situation in which your customers are reaching out to you. So think about logic, of course, to make sure that they're looking at the right data, and then really focus on those meaningful metric questions. If you could only ask one question, it should be a customer satisfaction question. How satisfied were you with the customer service that you received? And then stick with it. If you are going to make anything mandatory, that should really be the only question that's mandatory here, because it's really the one that you need to know in order to make the most of your results. Thinking about, too, those people who actually provide customer service, those are the key people to have involved in conducting this survey and putting it together, generating the questions as well, too. So you know that what is going to be helpful for them to know. For example, if they're going as fast as they can, faster response time might not be something that you are looking, to measure, for example. Everyone wants fast feedback, but think about the other things that could be improved. Is it the quality of the response? Is it the clarity, for example, accuracy of information? So find those opportunities to celebrate with your technical support or customer service teams as well, and find out what it is that they would like to know from the customers too. Make sure that you're sharing those results regularly with definitely the team members who are involved in that providing that service, as well as the managers and such from top to bottom, more or less. When you review those results regularly, you can find out, we had that issue earlier last week, so that's probably why we're seeing, the bump in number of cases, for example, or, somebody's really happy about this new release, so we're getting a lot of positive feedback at this time. So it's really nice to know on an ongoing basis, sort of check that baseline as well and see how things are going. Of course, your results are going to depend significantly, of course, on the kinds of questions you choose. Remember that hidden questions will, of course, show up in your reports as well. The types of service, and then differentiating based on if it's a product or a service, for example. Grid questions based on the types of responses, if you'd like to analyze the issue, if you'd like to analyze the experience. And the resolution, of course, comfort or confidence, and then, of course, those big key metric questions. So again, if you're only going to choose a few questions here, overall satisfaction with the service you received, that's the one that you would definitely include. You're going to get sort of more bang for your buck, if you like, by just asking that question and possibly a follow-up, than going too much in detail. Of course, you're going to get a lot of great detailed feedback if you choose to take that route as well. So it's really thinking about how your customers are most likely to respond as well. So some advanced options to think about, of course, data population I've mentioned already. Only include those details that you need for reporting or for follow-up, but pre-fill that information so your customers don't need to answer it. Automating your processes is a really great idea as well too. If you've got integrations, maybe it's an API, it's Zapier, whatever you want to use to be able to set up that functionality. Maybe it's every time a case is closed, a survey or an invitation goes out to say, hey, we know that you just interacted with us, how was it? So that's a really good practice to make sure that you're getting that timely feedback. Excuse me. So you're also going to notice here the idea of keeping that feedback as timely. Keep those reminders going. You can set up automated reminders when you launch, and also expire invitations as well too. So maybe you don't want, we'll call it stale data. Maybe you set it for 1 week after the experience or 2 weeks after. Either way, you're trying to collect the most fresh, high-quality data rather than, well, actually, now that I think about it, it's not necessarily as accurate. A dashboard is a really good place. That's SoGoCX. You can also simplify. Let's say that you only asked one grid. You could have key driver analysis along with your customer satisfaction question or net promoter score. That gives you good information about where the biggest opportunities are. So again, those are in CX. But really think about each of these opportunities. Customer service can be very hard work, making sure that you're understanding the customer's needs, being able to meet them where they are and hopefully exceed their expectations, let alone avoid frustrating them. But these are really opportunities to serve that customer, strengthens the relationship, and they are really opportunities that you can make the most of Again, it can be a challenge for you or it can be an opportunity. Quite often it's both, but finding out how you're doing in terms of customer service gives you a lot of insight into how you can improve. Thanks so much for joining. We look forward to seeing you again soon. In the meantime, reach out to us or connect with us on our various social media channels. You can also visit our website, SoGoSurvey.com. See you next time.